I think for Southeast Asia, I think it's actually quite positive. I think if you really look at 2023, it was a year that wasn't for the market. There was a lot of hope that Southeast Asia would really take off, and it didn't happen. And there was quite a few reasons for that. But as we go into 2024, I think a lot of those reasons are going to start turning around, particularly with much more broader-based economic growth coming through, particularly from areas like exports coming back, manufacturing picking up. We saw, just a few days ago, the TSMC coming out and saying very, very strong sort of outlook, and that sort of semiconductor outlook will feed through to a lot of Southeast Asian manufacturing. I think we'll also see a lot more acceleration in FDI, particularly with China slowing down so much, and particularly with all the sort of political uncertainty around the US as well. And a lot of tourists are coming back to this region as well, which we didn't see as much in 2023. And finally, I think Southeast Asia really is a bargain basement of markets when it comes to valuations. They're some of the cheapest valuations out there for some of the most stronger growth markets out there.
Interesting. What about the expectation of rate cuts in the US and how that would translate into policy transmission here in Southeast Asia?
Broadly, rate cuts will be quite positive for Southeast Asia. If you do see rate cuts coming through, you should see a weaker US dollar. I mean, that was one of the key reasons why 2023 these markets didn't outperform, because a lot of markets, for a lot of Southeast Asian markets, the US dollar kind of got away from them. If you do see that coming off, you should start to see some valuations coming back as well.
Are all bets off if we see a recession in the United States in terms of your expectations for the rest of Asia, or is there enough there? And I suppose if we're talking about FDI, enough capital flow going to be able to come into the rest of Asia as well?
Yeah, so I mean, I think a US recession alone will not actually dampen the story of Southeast Asia. And that's because you have markets like Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, which are strongly driven by domestic consumption. And remember, Thailand just has got a new government in place. They're looking to spend quite a bit of money, especially when you see the second quarter budget coming through. Indonesia is in election year, so you're going to see a lot of spending domestically as well. So I think overall, plus Malaysia, with the new sort of legislation that is out there, they're also looking to pump prime that economy. So I think there's a lot of domestic spending that will happen. And I think the FDI, the sort of investment, rerouting to Southeast Asia is secular, simply because, you have, US looking to kind of reduce dependence on China. But also we kind of learned through the whole 2020 pandemic that you need to, have multiple options when it comes to sourcing.
I saw somewhere that Malaysia is getting rid of the CGT on people that are, foreign investors, so perhaps they're going to get a little bit more flow coming through that way as well. But I've got to ask you, because you had a feng shui, and I hope I say that right, report recently, and everyone's talking about this being the year of the dragon. Look at what's happening right now in China. What are the signs? And I know that, it's just...
Will the dragon rise, is your question?
Yeah, that's probably the best way of putting it. Will the dragon rise?
Yeah, I mean, we are saying, this is a year for the ASEAN dragon. So I think there is quite a bit of potential there. At least the feng shui signs also kind of, dovetail with what we are saying from the fundamental side, that there is quite a bit of support and luck for this region.